Hey! The last digit of your like on this video by each who you are from Melon Playground, and the last digit of your subscription to my channel will show your Melon Playground item. So go down right now, subscribe and give me a like. Look at the screen. Notice the last digit of your like and your subscription and write in the comments who you are from Melon Playground. It's simple, if your like is number 8 and the last digit of your subscription is number 5, you're a lemon and a cactus. Show your imagination and enjoy the show.
And hello to all dear friends. In this video, we are going to talk about the most powerful weapon in Melon Playground. But before we start the video, I want to say a huge thank you to these guys, my subscribers, for participating in my videos. If you want to be in my next video, it's very easy. You need to put a like, subscribe to my channel, and write a cool comment of at least 4 words or more. Either way, I won't waste your time and have fun watching it. And so guys, here we are in Melon Playground, and let's check what is the most powerful weapon in Melon Playground. We will check absolutely every GAN, absolutely every. And also we will record the number of points, and then basically put each weapon in its place on the power of 1 shot. I realize that you could somehow tie this to destructibility, but that's not the case. Basically, we're just going to judge by the power of a single shot. So, let's look at the first weapon, and we have a gun. I think it should obviously be a gun, because after all, it is the most basic gun, and in principle, to check it first, in principle, I think that is not so bad. And see how he does with our melons, and basically, he only kills 1 melon. Basically, it was obvious. 1 shot, 1 melon, everything is even, everything is clear, and basically the gun gets 1 point. Moving on to the second gun, and the second gun we have is the Tech 9. This is essentially the same gun, so I think it only gets 1 point as a normal gun. So just to check how it performs with our melons, and check it, and it has exactly the same result, it only gets 1 point, and it was just obvious, because it's exactly the same gun, only semi-automatic. Nothing unusual here. And we move on to the next weapon, and that's the revolver. Score, because the revolver has a larger caliber, and basically I expect the revolver to really do some hard damage to our melon. So let's see how much melon our revolver will penetrate. We press the fire button, we look, and it hits 3 melons. I think it's worth fixing a few attempts, because often very Melon Playground shots are buggy, so it's important to check several times, and we'll count the most powerful shot. Without taking into account bugs, because there are cases when the shot is really powerful and more powerful than it can be in principle. So we count on the most powerful shot. And look, we have a revolver penetrates maximum 4 Melon. Maximum 4 Melon, we can see on the screen that it still somehow miraculously hits the last of the Melon on the second shot, and in fact the revolver gets 4. Nothing unusual here. I expected it to be more powerful than a normal pistol. And so we move on to the next weapon, and the next weapon is the shotgun. It's basically a regular 2-shooter, and because of its shot, I think that, it doesn't get more than 2 points, but it's accurate, because the drop shot when it goes off, it's very weak, and I think our melons basically don't take much damage. Again, we'll count without taking into account first shot bugs, because very often it's the first shot that bugs after firing another weapon. I think you know what I mean. So let's look at how much damage our melons get. And they only get a dead 1 melon. 1 point is fixed for our shotgun, and we move on to the next weapon, and this is an automatic shotgun. And here I also expect 1 melon, because, well, it's essentially the same weapon as the double shotgun. It's exactly the same caliber, it's just automatic. Nothing out of the ordinary here. The fact that it's only going to get 1 point, I'm just expecting that. Just look at your screen. Well, really 1 point, that was expected. And the next weapon, this is going to be very interesting, because next in line is the M4A4. This is a tough weapon, because it has enough moreover. In addition to all this, the M4A4 is an automatic gun, and here something will be serious. So, you can see its cue on your screens, but essentially let's still normally record 1 single shot. We press the fire button, and see that the M4A4 does not penetrate more than 4 million rounds. I think it is obvious. Was that still M4A4 is quite a powerful weapon, although I expected, to be honest, about 6 million respectively. But 4 is quite a good enough result too, essentially the same power as a revolver, that it expresses quite a bit and is stronger than a revolver at its peak. Well, let's move on to the next weapon, and that's the handgun, and there's going to be some tough results here, because the handgun is quite a large caliber, and it seems to me that here, if a little bit, almost all the Melons can suffer. So the first shot shows us that it penetrates a lot of about 7, 8, 9 mils, but let's fix a single shot. I think there will be something tough here. So, let's lock in the single shot. I think it's going to hit around 6-7 million. Give us your opinion in the comments. So, let's look again. I think we should try it in a few positions. So let's see. We already have some result. We count 2.4.6.8 million he damaged. And I think the result could be much stronger, simply because the projectile for some reason went off tangentially, but it's basically ballistics. I don't expect anything else here. Well, let's move on to the next weapon, and it's an AVP. I expect a tough result. But it's an AVP, but it's a sniper rifle, and there's a very large caliber that an elephant can kill just to shoot through, and some very large fencing, including stone, including metal. And from the first shot, he shows us that this is a tough result. Let's count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 molens. It penetrates almost everyone. 12, I think we can fix even more result. And here it is, 14 million. We have fixed from the shot of sniper rifle. 14 guys. It is very much almost everyone is hit by our sniper rifle so far. It is the biggest result we have fixed. 14 million. Well, it is not possible to get more. Just 15 out of 15. And I think we can do more. I think we should put 30 million and see if the sniper rifle can hit more than 15 million. Well, because that's already a tough result. Right. And so far it's only 15. I can't get more than 15. But that's a pretty powerful result. It doesn't go over 15, but I think that's the maximum. That's it. We've got it. 15 million destroys one sniper rifle. The most expected guest. Because the minigun is the most beautiful and powerful gun in the game, as it seems to me, simply because really just look at your screens, how it crushes our melons. This one is it's hard. Well, guys, look how it crushes all these melons. It's first of all very beautiful, guys. Just incredibly beautiful. Well, and secondly, it was powerful enough. I think it's worth now. After the turn to check how the single gun works, I think it's still not as powerful as XO. And no, guys, even though I thought at first it looked like 6 melons punching a minigun, on the replay I noticed that it still hits at a maximum of 7 Melon. It's a bit tougher here, but I expected it to not be that tough. It's basically like a handheld machine gun shot, give or take the same result. Well, moving on to the next weapon, and that's the robot gun. Here I'm expecting one essentially injured Melon. Post your opinion in the comments, but I think it's obvious that it's only going to be one dead. Well, bug! Guys, the first shot is always God. You know, I think it's obvious that the first one to die would be Melon. Just an ordinary dead one Melon. Nothing obvious, nothing unusual, or rather in principle everything here makes sense. Moving on to the next weapon, and that's the robot's revolver. And this is where I expect plus or minus exactly the same result as a normal revolver. Because plus or minus it's the same weapon, so obviously. Whoa, that's very strange. Why only 4? There, that's it. Yeah, 3-4 Melon is basically suffering from our revolver. It was obvious, guys. I didn't see anything unusual here. Here we go. Yeah, fixed it. Got 3 points. Well, let's move on. Right. Moving on to the next weapon, and that's the crossbow. That's the strangest weapon. I'm expecting, well, 1 point here. Well, obviously, because they have a single shot, so just shoot and see. Yeah, like 1 Melon. Nothing unusual going forward, but there's no point in really focusing here, and the bazooka is not the obvious non-obvious one here, mate, because the bazooka is a powerful weapon. No question about it. We've got a splash fire, so here we just look at the number of Melons killed, shoot and look, before the shot is obviously huge and count, and we've got essentially about 8 points for the bazooka again. Guys, nothing unusual here, just move on to our next weapon. This is a pinball gun. Right here, guys, I expect 0. 0. 0. 0. That much bagel. But guys, obviously, the pinball gun, as you know, does almost no damage. And the first shot is not going to hurt our Melons, so we just watch it, basically nothing. And move on to the next weapon, and this is quite something interesting. And the next weapon we have is called an energy blaster. As you know, the energy blaster is not a very powerful weapon, so I reckon about 2 melons will be affected by the shot. And looking at our screens, and no, not even 2, just 1 melon is affected, and basically there's nothing wrong with that melon. It's scrapped, and we move on to the next weapon, and next is the railgun, and here's something tough, because the railgun is the most powerful weapon in Melon Playground, I think, so we put not 15, but 30 melons. Really, guys, it's just going to be infinite, I think. It's just going to punch through everybody. And look, guys, yes, it does. but for some reason the projectile goes up and down in ballistics. It does absolutely all the melons. So I think we should put 30 melons. And look guys, and even 30 melons it easily penetrates. So it's obvious that we should just skip this railgun. It's really the most powerful weapon in the game. And I'm giving it 100 points because it's the most, well, it just flies endlessly. No matter how many melons I put in, it's going to beat them all, and that's pretty obvious. And we move on to the next weapon, and that's the Protogen. I don't expect anything from Protogen, so I don't think it's going to hit more than one melon. As scary and creepy as that sounds, it's basically, it is. It's a pretty weak weapon. And so, moving on to the next weapon is the Pulse Scan Pierces. No? Well, still, not more than 1 million. It is obvious. Put it 1 point, and so a little bit faster. Moving on to the next weapon, and it's just, actually, I do not know how to evaluate it. This Lugan, because it can all demolish one blow. Because, well, it releases random items, random effects, and it can kill Melon as well as not kill him at all. At the moment it's punching 1-2 Melon, and I think it's obvious that it's worth predicting about 1.5 points, because more is unfair to other, let's say, weapons, because, well, one really isn't deserved. 1.5, 2, 1.5. Let's just put 1.5 points. I think that's obvious. And we come out to the next weapon, and that's the laser cannon. Obviously, the laser cannon is very weak. It's just going to take a very long time to kill just one Melon, and then it's going to catch fire a little bit. So we just skip the laser cannon and give it a 0. Just 0. But that doesn't mean it's a weird gun, or it's not a good gun. It's a really cool gun. I like the laser Gana a lot. I like the way it reflects, so it's okay. And we move on to the next weapon, and that's the flamethrower. And again, I don't know how to rate the flamethrower, because it can kind of burn everybody. It's got one solid projectile, but I think it's obvious that it deserves about, 2 points, guys. Because with his first round, he only sets 2 melons on fire instantly. The rest are either set on fire by the other melons themselves, or by the flamethrower's own splash. So to give it more than 2 points would be unfair to the other lands. So we just move on to the next gun, and leave the flamethrower alone. And next in line we have the fire extinguisher here. I think it's obvious. 0 look, and yeah, it doesn't kill anyone here. It just freezes our melon. But nothing more than that. So 0 points gets the fire extinguisher. The next weapon is a grenade launcher. And look, and here he gets, I don't know, well actually, it was quite powerful, guys. But again, that splash weapon. I don't know how to properly evaluate these weapons, because, well, how do you evaluate them? That neither to him. As if it's unfair. Just unfair. Let's rejudge the grenade launcher purely so 4 points on the discount. I won't focus on it much, because it is, essentially, out of the competition. And next up we have the cap tower, and here obviously, I think 0 points. Because from the first projectile I know for a fact that the cap tower is not going to be able to harm our melons in any way. So 0, bagel. And so, folks, that concludes the experiment. And let's still summarize the stats of our easily realizable experiment. So, 0 points goes to the pinball gun, laser gun, fire extinguisher, and cup cannon. Basically, obviously these were the weakest guns, but that doesn't mean they're bad. They're just guns that aren't designed to kill our melons. Next we go to 1 point, and 1 point goes to Tech 9, Trabovic, Auto, Pistol, Machine Gun, Robot Gun, Crossbow, Energy Blaster, and Pulse Scan. In principle, here too, almost everything is obvious. In some cases, let's say the Energy Blaster, I thought it would be more powerful. But it turned out, as it turned out, and I think that many people suspected it, that these guns will get 1 point each. 1.5 points we have in our own 2 weapons that got 1.5 points somehow. And that's the Tolgan and the Flamethrower, because they are just non-obvious GANs that obviously don't deserve 1 point. Well, more than 2 would be weird. The 4 points overall are the M4A4 revolver, the robot revolver, and the grenade launcher. These are also quite powerful guns, but they couldn't get more than 4 after all. Somewhere there was not enough power, somewhere the splash decided. And that's why it's obvious that they don't get 4 points, and we move on to the next place. And this is the minigun, which gets 7 points. And it's pretty good here as well. 7 points is actually a large number of points. And the minigun, I think it could have gone higher. I thought it would be at least like a handgun. It would take 8 points. It would take its place next to the bazooka. but 7 points isn't bad either. And moving on to the next spot, it's 8 points gets us the bazooka and the hand machine gun. In principle, it's not so bad. I expected to see them here. Yes, quite expected. Powerful weapons. Very powerful. Although I would certainly take the bazooka from here because it's outlawed, as they say. The next weapon, and it's in the end, which gets 15 points. It's really the large caliber that makes the difference. And basically, if you don't count the railgun, which is just out of competition, in the end, it's the most powerful weapon in the game. Because of the caliber, it just goes through all the millions and the most powerful weapon in the game. And it's the railgun. Really, the railgun is just something I think it's unbelievable, and it doesn't care who or what it's going to penetrate. That's the kind of video we got today. I think you're going to like it, and if you like it, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel, because it's very nice for me, and it's very important for you, and it's a small thing, so just subscribe and give it a like, for my video is coming to an end. Thank you all for watching. Good luck, goodbye everyone, and remember buddy, as always, see you the other day.